Hi everybody, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and today there's a full moon in the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius, May 23rd, 2024 at 9:53 a.m. Eastern Time, and it's occurring at 2 degrees 55 minutes of Sagittarius. Let's take a look at the forecast for the day, and this will be the prevailing energy for approximately 2 weeks until we reach the next lunation at the next new moon. Full moon in Sagittarius, Thursday, May 23rd, signals an opportunity has arrived to apply optimism, curiosity, imagination, and inspiration to create the story you wish to live, as the moon opposing the sun in Gemini, as well as a stellium of Uranus, Venus, and Jupiter in Taurus, links two minor grand trine aspect patterns together, which share Neptune in Pisces and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, with the moon and the sun, while the moon forms a sesqui-square aspect with the north node, Mars, and Chiron in Aries. Sagittarius is a Jupiter-ruled mutable fire sign associated with the ninth house of foreign travel, higher education, publishing, promotion, your connection to a global community, history, sociology, and principles. Gemini is a Mercury-ruled air sign belonging to the third house of local travel and community, communication, formative ideas, early education, sales work, siblings, and casual acquaintances. Both signs seek to gather and share information and experience with others, and are naturally inquisitive and restless. Think of Gemini as the team which is playing at home, and Sagittarius as the team playing further away from home. This full moon suggests that you have something to share which you love, know well, or see in a unique way. It will require you to ignore your own fears or the naysayers, being activated by Mercury in Taurus, square to Pluto, while you trust in yourself and a higher or unseen power to give you guidance and strength, as Saturn in Pisces is sextile to the Taurus-Gemini planets. Replace fear with wonder and positive what-if questions. Just be you, because following your heart is more fun and interesting than following the crowd, and you will meet kindred souls along the way. So let's take a look at what we have happening in the sky. We have a pattern that I like to call angel wings, because whenever I see this dynamic of the two minor grand trines which overlap and share some commonality between them, it always seems to give just an extra uplift that helps to overcome the challenges that might be occurring at a particular time. So it definitely helps to look at any situation or problem as how can it get better than this? What can happen, or what needs to happen to make this better? Because usually there is some sort of silver lining to the cloud, or some lesson to be learned, or something to be gained from things occurring that are challenging. And we definitely at a full moon feel the pressure emotionally of something challenging coming to a head. Sometimes it's just a culmination of the work that we've been doing for the 2 weeks leading up to the full moon, and now we're about to reap our rewards. And this can definitely be a time of reaping of rewards, but I also feel like for those who have been sitting on the fence about something and have not been doing anything, you also have the opportunity to get things in motion and do it quickly now. That now's the chance before you miss that train entirely. And the reason for that feeling of something is imminent, or it should occur now, or you're down to your last chance or moment to act, comes from the fact that we have 3 planets at a final degree. And that can be considered a critical or crucial degree because energy is about to turn over to another sign. And some of them will feel more quickly, like Venus entering Gemini and Jupiter entering Gemini. That's going to happen within a couple of days. But Neptune might be a bit longer. I think I had looked ahead, and it can hang out at a degree for quite a while. And then if we have some retrograding motion, it can be a bit of a time before we see Neptune fully moving into Aries. And I believe that that was going to be in 2025, the end of March of 2025. And I don't think it dips in there before it retrogrades. No. When it retrogrades on July the 2nd of 2024, it will be at 29 degrees, 55 minutes. So close, but not just yet. Not till the spring of 2025 do we have Neptune entering Aries and leaving Pisces. It's sign that it rules behind, where it's going to shift from that mutable water to that cardinal fire energy. But for now, it still has that feeling of something is ripe, something is very close to the edge, and something feels super important because of that 29th degree. And this does have a lot to do with beauty, healing, inspiration, faith, belief, trusting in what you might not be able to see, but what you want to be seeing. Neptune's an interesting planet because it's not as material in a physical way as planets like Saturn, which encourages us to do the work and do constructive things and put down our platforms and foundations and get up out of bed every day and just keep going. And Mars is very physical, action-oriented, about doing the thing, taking the action. But Neptune can still help us to manifest things when we either persistently keep looking at what we desire and we hold our attention upon that until we come to the point of acceptance that it is ours. It's very plastic, malleable, reflective, and it will pretty much give you what you look at. And if you do choose to see that glass as half empty, then that's probably what you will be getting. If you see that there's something that seems improbable, but you believe that it is possible, and you continually hold that ideal or that vision, then you are going to be experiencing the miracle manifestation that Neptune can bring to you. And Neptune has some extra special power while it is in its sign. Saturn is also there in Pisces. Not quite a conjunction yet, but it is definitely giving the ability to do the work of building your dream. So it is important to keep your focus on your bigger dream or what you believe would be best for you. And then we have the idea of self and another with the Aries and Libra lunar nodes. And there are always lessons or karmic agreements that can come up when the North Node is very active. And we do have a faster moving, more personal planet, Mars, which is a planet of action. And it is also the ruling planet for the sign of Aries. So we have two planets right now that are particularly strong because they are in their ruling signs. Oh, and we have Venus also in a sign that it rules. It's been moving through Taurus for the last couple of weeks, and Venus rules Taurus. So we have a lot of energy in here with three planets being in signs that they have ownership over. So they are stronger. And this impulse here to follow your path or do what is right for you is necessary because basically nobody else is going to do it for you. Or if they're telling you what to do, you aren't necessarily going to be happy with what you're being told. In a way, being selfish is the best thing that you can be at this point, because if you are not being true to yourself and you're not using your talents and abilities or doing the best that you can do for yourself, then you are actually either denying somebody the fullness of you, or you are in some way burdening them and attempting to hold on to them and stay in a relationship built on dysfunction that's held together by a codependency that isn't healthy. So being more self-aware, more self-determining, and more responsible for yourself is actually the best thing you can do for your relationships right now. And if that means that there is some letting go that occurs, then if it's run its course, or everything's been learned, or there's nothing to be worked through further, then it may be best if you do release and let go. And at the shoulders of this pair of wings that we have going on here, that are, of course, tied to the moon-sun opposition at this full moon, we have Neptune, the planet of beauty, healing, and inspiration, as well as victim, savior, martyr archetypes. And then we have Pluto, which is the power, control, intensity, crisis, upheaval, transformation, empowerment or disempowerment, fear, or becoming fearless. In the sign of Aquarius, which is associated with the future, fame, popularity, technology, society as a whole, and the direction in which it's headed. And we do have it retrograding, and it will slide back into Capricorn for its last time before it comes back out into Aquarius and spends 19 years there. And that will happen in the fall. But for the rest of the summer, everything here is going to be Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And it may cause you to question whether investing your attention, your thoughts, and your energy in perhaps the group consciousness, or allowing all of that to be controlling you in some way, or creating fear about the future and whether you are enough, or have enough, or will be enough. Taurus is the sign that says, I have, and it is quite materially oriented. It is also security minded, and this can feel like a rather threatening square. But squares are also the work of things and the activating energy that is kind of like an itch that needs to be scratched and makes us do things. Sometimes under pressure, it can produce the pressure to do things. So you may be coming to a crisis point, which is natural at a full moon anyway, where something comes to a head and it must be dealt with. There may be something that you no longer can have, that you can't tolerate it. Now, whether it's something that is removed from you, taken away from you, and it just seems wrong, or whether it's something that you decide you cannot have anymore. It could be either or both, depending on what different things you have going on. But the sooner that you can say, okay, this is it, this is done, I'm over this, because holding on to it is keeping me from growing and moving forward and actually becoming more, or having more, or moving on to the next best thing for myself. The letting go and the releasing, and to not carry the grudge, to not carry the burden of regrets or grudges or anything that would hold you back and limit the incredible fertility that's actually in here, in this minor grand trine, in both of them, actually, that there are wonderful things to move toward, or things that you can be manifesting. And I think some of the story in this full moon is, if you have been keeping things very close or very small, and you have not been believing that you can have more, or be more, or reach a bigger platform or more people, now is the time to basically level up and go from, amateur to mastery, or from just being bottom rung to being the team captain, that you can definitely rise above limitations, whether they are your own limitations that you've created or things outside of you that you feel have been limiting you. But some of it comes from just the stories that we tell ourselves, and you have the opportunity, while both the moon and the sun are opposing now in signs that rule houses that have a lot to do with the stories, the history, the communication, everything that we think and we say, both individually within our neighborhood and community, and people we treat like brothers and sisters, people we meet, people that we see as like us in some way, and then out there in the world in a bigger way where we have a larger audience, or people may have other points of view, might be already more advanced in terms of knowledge or wisdom. That's where the moon is pulling you. On the mundane level, some people might simply want to pack up and move or go travel. Time to book a vacation, get those tickets, make those plans. And if so, I would say it might be worthwhile to have one of the bigger adventure type trips, where even if it might cost you a bit more money, don't cheap out right now on a vacation that might fulfill a dream. Or for all you know, you could go to a place you've always wanted to be and discover that that's where you want to move to and live, and the doors will just blow open wide because you went and took that risk or chance and followed through on something that might have always been a what if dream. So things are very open-ended when mutable energy is at play. And we have a fairly equal balance right now of the cardinal, which is the boss-like, initiating and ordaining, the fixed, which is the worker bee, the wanting to have hands on everything and take things from start to finish, and mutable, flexible, adaptable, changeable. The Ways and Means Committee, the in-betweens, the networkers, the facilitators. There is nothing that is lacking right now. We have a nice mix and balance of water, earth, air, and fire, and cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And this usually results, if this were somebody's natal chart, of multiple talents and abilities, the ability to wear different hats and take on any of those particular roles. The networker, facilitator, the boss, the leader, the initiator, or the person who's actually there rolling up their sleeves doing the work of something. And elements are all in balance too. So everybody has the opportunity to have, this is like a potpourri of very good combinations, for the most part, of the planets, many of them, or a handful of them, in their ruling signs, which also elevates things. And it's like a car after a tune-up and an oil change. All your tires have been filled with air, and you've got fresh fluids in the vehicle, and you've just taken it to the car wash, and you're good to go. So plan your trip, whether it's a literal physical trip, and go after your dream. If it's something that you've been desiring, imagining, pretending, now is the time to actually be doing it. And definitely, if you have not initiated it yet under the impulses of the Mars North Node, Chiron, and Aries influence that we've had for the last 2 weeks, then go for it now, just as you're having that conjunction of Jupiter and Venus in the tail end of Taurus. Claim it for yourself, go after it, believe in yourself, and you may accomplish more than you think you are capable of. You may find that what you thought you wanted could change along the way. Stay flexible so that you can move ahead with the mindset that I often use when I'm not 100% sure about the future. I think I want a particular thing, but I know that there may be something better. So I think about the thing and I say, this or something better. And I give the universe a chance to help me out. Co-creation, definitely at the heart of the Pisces energy going on with Saturn and Neptune, that you aren't doing this all by yourself. Whatever your particular religious faith or background is, it would be very difficult right now to look at life while we have Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces. We've got a planet here that is the realist and the other is the idealist. And to not see a divine order or pattern in things, and to not have a certain amount of both reverence and wonder for how it all works and how it all seems to fall into place, especially when you believe that it is possible. So let's take a look at the Sabian symbol, which I read it and there's nuances in there that I can definitely pick up with the idea of the instinct of gaming and polarity. But let's read through. Two men playing chess, the transcendent ritualization of conflict. Essential to sociocultural living is the transmutation of man's natural aggressiveness under most conditions of existence. Well, we've got Mars, Chiron, and the North Node in Aries, which is definitely highlighting individual drive and aggression or assertion. Opposing Libra, the sign of relationship. And let's go on. Many rituals, sports, and games have no other basic aim. In chess, the complex types of energies which in their togetherness constitute a human person are symbolized by 6 kinds of pieces: king, queen, bishops, knights, rooks, and pawns. The struggle between light and darkness, the yang and yin forces, is ritualized, ending in most cases with the checkmating of the king, the ego, the conscious self. In a dualistic world, such a contest between polarized forces is omnipresent. We do live in a plane of a dimension of duality. And the chess game trains men to be more objective, more careful, more aware of whole situations, and less impulsive and intent upon side issues. This third stage symbol deals with conflict, but at the level of group culture and psychological symbolization. It brings to the objective consciousness the basic realities in interpersonal interplay. Well, definitely a lot to consider and think about in that Sabian symbol. I always think of certain signs as being particularly playful, where we've got the Gemini, childlike, very early formative mind, inquisitive, curious, asking the why questions, and then bringing it out there into the world in a bigger way, where we take those thoughts, ideas, and bring it into the what if realm and begin applying it in bigger, larger ways to see, will this work? Will my idea work? I wrote a book. Can I get it published? Will people like it? I know something. Can I teach it? I'm curious to know. I already know what life is like in my neighborhood and community, what's life like out there in the bigger world. And these are they're social houses, the third and the ninth, that are ruled by Gemini and Sagittarius. We connect in community in those houses, and they are team oriented, where we know for our own good, belonging to the group is necessary and essential. But we do have an awareness here with this square of Mercury square to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, that just blindly conforming to either society's expectations or being, let's say, controlled by things like greed and power, that is not necessarily the path to greater happiness, fulfillment of individual life purpose, general contentment with life, or even being with the people that you want to be with. That it is not about the larger crowd or society and attempting to conform and be that, but by following your own path to have something to contribute to the greater good of all, because you have been doing what you're here to do. So just my thoughts on it. And it is an interesting full moon. And there are more than one options at all times at this full moon as to which direction you will go in, which things you might want to choose. And also, if you change your mind, it's okay. I think sometimes people are afraid to change their minds, and just think of all the things that were would have, could have, should have in your life because you did not listen to your heart and you didn't say anything and change your mind. All right, stay safe when traveling, as always, particularly while we have Mercury in a tense aspect, and while we have an opposition of the moon and sun between signs that do rule transportation. People may be a little bit jumpy on the road or distracted and not paying attention when they should be, or busy with their phones or whatnot. And please do not be on your phone when you're driving, because I want you to be back here again in 2 weeks when I talk about the new moon coming up ahead. Take care and stay safe.